Hello everyone, this is Rajiv Kohli and welcome back to our channel The Teacher. And in this Tally ERP 9 tutorial, we will talk about sales and purchase voucher entries, and we will also learn about how to use inventory or stocking in Tally ERP 9. So let's get started, and the first step is entering into the accounting vouchers. And if you look into the right, then you can see that for sales and purchase voucher entries, we have F8 for sales and F9 for purchase. And if you press the F8 key to enter into the sales voucher, then you will also start seeing two another options here. The first one is the accounting voucher, which is for Alt I, as I is underlined, so you have to hold down the Alt key. And then you have another option here, Control V for as voucher. The accounting invoice feature for Alt I is disabled by default, and I will let you know that why it is disabled. And if you look at top, then you can also note down two features which are disabled by default. The first one is F1 accounting vouchers and Alt F1 inventory vouchers. So I will let you know all of these things and how they are related to the accounting and inventory sales purchase vouchers. So let's get started, and first of all we will enter the purchase voucher, for which you can press the F9 key. So as we will begin with the purchase voucher entry, so you have the option, either you want to enter the purchase as invoice or as voucher. So as you can look at this layout here, it is a invoice layout, and if I press the Alt P for print command, as you can see on top here, right here, P is underlined, that means you have to hold down the Alt key. And if you press the Alt P for print, and here you can see another option here, after the print dialog box comes out, no preview, Alt I, or with preview. I am going to choose with preview. And now if I press the yes button for print, then you can see the layout of the invoice, purchase invoice. So that is how it is going to print that invoice if you want to take a printout. But mostly we don't take printout of the purchase voucher entries as a invoice. So you can choose if you want to enter the purchase as voucher by pressing the Control V key, or you can also press the button here. So I'm going to press Control V, and as soon as I will press this button, you can see that the layout of the purchase voucher has changed to a voucher type, where you can now see the to and buy side or credit debit side. Whereas when we were using this purchase as invoice, then you will no longer see the debit credit sides. So here you have the party name. You can either enter the party name or cash or bank account name, and then you have the particulars. Here you will enter the purchase account details. So let's get started, and first of all I am going to open new accounts for the purchase, and for that I am going to open accounts information, ledgers, create. And here I am going to type purchase account, and that will fall under purchase account. So all the purchase account will fall under this group, purchase accounts. So the rest of the detail will be default, and I am going to accept this ledger, and I will also open another ledger for sale account, and that will fall under sales account. And another account I am going to open is SGST for taxes, and that will fall under duty and taxes. And if you look, then you can also note down that duty and taxes also fall under current liabilities. That is the main head. Current liability is the main group, and duty and taxes is a subgroup of current liabilities. So here you can also enter the calculation percentage of the tax that you want to be right there in the purchase voucher by default. So I am going to use 9% for this CGST, and it will be on total sale value. And then I am going to open SGST, which is Indian tax format, duty and taxes, and that will also be 9% on total sale values. So as we have 4 new accounts, purchase account, sale account, and 2 taxes account, SGST and CGST. Now we will enter the purchase voucher. So here I go to accounting vouchers, and I am going to fill this voucher as invoice. If you want to fill this as voucher, then you can also go with that. That is for if you don't want to take the printout of these voucher entries and just want to maintain the records of these purchases and don't want to take the printout of invoices. So that is why I am going to use it as a voucher. And here in the to side, you can enter the cash or party name. So as we don't have any party account, you can also create a new ledger account right from the voucher entry by pressing the Alt C key. And that will bring you directly to the ledger creation dialog box. And here I am going to open a new account, Garima Computers, under Syndicator. And you should disable this feature, maintain balance bill by bill. I will let you know about this feature in another tutorial because that required a lot of time to explain this feature. So I am going to set it to no so that Tally don't ask you any further questions while entering the voucher. So here you can enter the party address and other details, tax registration numbers, and I am going to save. And here it is asking you the purchase details. If you want to enter these details, you can go with that. I am going to leave all these blank for now. And here I am going to enter the amount 15,500 rupees. And here it is asking you for the purchase ledger account in the buy side. And if you look carefully, then you can see that it has already filtered the list of ledger accounts, only showing you those ledger which fall under the purchase accounts group. So that is the advantage of Tally ERP 9, that it automatically filters the ledger accounts according to the voucher type. As you are entering purchase voucher, so you are only seeing the purchase ledger account in the buy side. So here I enter the purchase account. So there is another difference of entering a purchase as invoice or as voucher. As I am entering this purchase as voucher, so you have to calculate the taxes and reduce them from the purchase amount. But if I change this voucher to as invoice and again fill all the details, party name Garima Computers, and then you have particulars. Here in the particulars I am going to enter that the purchase amount is 15,500, and here I am going to enter the taxes. And first of all I will add CGST, and it automatically calculated the 9% of 15,500, that is 1,995 rupees. That is the advantage of entering a purchase as invoice, because that way it will automatically calculate the taxes. So the next ledger is SGST, and it is also 9% with the same amount, and here you have total 18,290 rupees. So that is the benefit of entering a purchase as invoice. That will be more easier for you to automatically calculate the tax amounts, because Tally will help you in that. So here I am going to save this voucher. Now let's talk about the sales voucher, and for that I am going to press the F8 key, and it is automatically set to as invoice by default. And here if you press the F11 key for features, then here you have two features. Invoicing, enable invoicing, it is set to yes, and record purchases in invoice mode, it is also set to yes. So let's say if I set both of them to no and save the changes, then if I go back and enter again in accounting vouchers, then you can see that it automatically changes to the voucher style layout. Both of them, purchase and sale, both will be now in a voucher style. So these two features you can enable or disable by pressing the F11 key, and I will prefer to use both of these vouchers as invoice, sales and purchase. And here if you don't want to press a lot of enter to accept the changes, you can press the Ctrl A key to save all the changes. So now I am going to enter the sales voucher F8, and here it is asking for the party account name, and you can press Alt C to create a new account, and here I am going to enter the party name. As we are doing a sale to this company, so it will fall under syndicator. And here it is asking for you dispatch details and order details. We will talk about them in later tutorials. Let them leave as default. And here you have the particulars. If you press space here to see the list of ledger accounts, then you can see all the ledger accounts that you can use in this voucher. Like you have the sale account and the taxes account. Along with that, you can also see the expenses. So here I am going to first of all use sale account, and we sale to amounting to rupees 8,000, and SGST is 9%, that is 720 rupees, and CGST is also 9%, 720 rupees. So we did the total sale of 9,440 rupees. So that is how you can enter the sales and purchase vouchers in Tally ERP 9. Now let's talk about the inventory. Let me save this voucher and go back to the gateway of Tally. So if you look at gateway of Tally, then you can note down all the features you are seeing right now. Accounting features, accounting info, accounting vouchers, import data, banking, balance sheet, profit and loss, ratio analysis and display. As we are using Tally ERP 9 Series A release 6.5.2, so in this version, when you create a new company, you don't have any option to enable the inventory or stocking in Tally ERP 9 6.5.2. So in the previous version, you will see a feature right here at the company creation dialog box that either you want to enable inventory or not. So this feature is missing in the current version, and you can enable the inventory in Tally 6.5.2 by pressing the F11 key. So here you see accounting features and statutory and taxation and add-on features. So I am going to use accounting features, and on the very top you can see maintain accounts only, that is set to yes. That is why you are only seeing those features which are related to accounting, not inventory. So if I set this feature to no, then you can note down that integrate and accounts and inventory feature will get enabled automatically. That is because this integrate accounts and inventory feature can only work if you have enabled the inventory. So I am going to set it to yes, and I will let you know what that feature means, and I am going to press Ctrl A to save the changes. And if now I press escape to go back to the gateway of Tally, then you can note down a few new features that were not available before, like inventory info, inventory vouchers, and then stock summary on the gateway of Tally main menu. So what is the use of inventory in Tally ERP 9? That is what I am going to give you an introduction about. So here I am again going to enter the purchase voucher by pressing the F9 key. The first thing that you can note down after enabling the inventory feature is that in purchase and sales voucher, you will start seeing name of item instead of particulars. Before that, you were seeing particular section here. So there is another feature here, accounting invoice, that I was telling you before, that this feature was disabled by default because it can only work if you can only switch between accounting invoice and item invoice if you have enabled the inventory in Tally ERP 9. And on top, you can also see that these two features are also get enabled after enabling the inventory feature. So if you want to see the inventory vouchers, those vouchers which are related to the inventory, then you can press Alt F1, and then you will start seeing a list of inventory vouchers at the bottom. And if you press F1 for accounting vouchers, then you will see the usual contra payment sheet, sales, general purchase vouchers. So that is how these things are related to the F11 features, inventory feature, and enabling or disabling that inventory feature will also affect on these options right here. So again, I am going to enter the purchase invoice, and here I am going to use the party name Garima Computers and purchase account. Now you can see that you have another option here, purchase letter. Purchase ledger. It is specially asking you it has separately created a new column here, purchase ledger, and here you will see a list of those ledger accounts which fall under purchase account. And below right here, you are now seeing name of item instead of particulars. So what is the use of inventory is, when you enter sales or purchase vouchers, you will also enter the items that you are purchasing or selling. So here you can see that we no longer have any item because we have not created any item yet. That is the first time we have enabled the inventory feature in this company. That is why you will see no list of any items. So how you create items in Tally ERP 9, and that is what this tutorial is all about. I am going to give you an introduction that how you can enable inventory in Tally ERP 9 and how you can create items while entering sale and purchase vouchers. So we go back to the gateway of Tally, and first of all, do remember that you have to press F11 and go to accounting features and disable this feature, maintain accounts only, set it to no, so you can enable inventory. And you should also enable this feature, integrate accounts and inventory. I will let you know about this feature very soon. So at the gateway of Tally, now you have to move to inventory info dialog box to create new items that you want to fill during purchase or sale voucher entries. So if I go here, then you can see that here is a option here, stock items. You can simply create stock items from this option, but one problem is right here is the units. You don't have any units here. So if you don't use any units, then during the voucher entry, you will no longer be able to enter the quantity of that particular item. So units are compulsory if you want to add the quantity. So first of all, instead of creating a new item, what I will do, I will go to the inventory info, then I will go to the unit of measure. So first of all, you have to create the units in which you are purchasing the item or selling them. If you have more than one unit, then you can create as many units you want. So in the symbol, I am going to use PCS for pieces, and in pieces, number of decimal places will be 0. That is 1 piece, 2 piece. If you set it to 2, that means you can also enter 2.99. That is not going to work for pieces because pieces never has a decimal places. So I will set it to 0. And do take care of this option, number of decimal places, because later on after entering vouchers, after creating items and entering vouchers, you will no longer be able to change this option. Let's say if you have set it to 0 and then you did a lot of work in sales and purchase, and later you decided to add number of decimal places to that particular unit, then you will no longer be able to do that. So you have to decide right now that how many decimal places you want for that particular unit. So for pieces, I am going to set it to 0 and save the changes. As we now have our first unit, now I will go back and create stock items. So in the name section, I am going to use motherboard, and under is a list of groups, and we will talk about the stock groups later on because that required a separate tutorial. So I am going to put all the items under the primary group, and here you have that unit which we created in previous step. So here in the opening balance, you can also enter the closing balance of the previous year. Like in India, we closed the financial year on 31st March. So what was the closing balance on 31st March of that particular item? You can enter that quantity and rate at this point. So I am going to leave it blank, and another item I am going to open, processor, that will fall under PCs, and one more item, mouse and keyboard, that will fall under pieces. So you will see a list of all the units here, right here. If any other item is falling in another unit, then you can choose the unit right from this list. So I am going to go back and enter the purchase voucher, F9, and here I am going to choose Garima Computers, purchase account, and here you will start seeing the list of items that you have created in previous step. So first of all, I'm going to choose motherboard, quantity 1 amounting to rupees 3500. Then we have processor, quantity 2, that is 6550 rupees. And then we have mouse and keyboard, 10 pieces, 750 rupees per piece. That is 7500 for 10 pieces. So as we have entered all the items that we want for this particular voucher, and if you press the enter key right now after entering the list of items, then here at the bottom you can add the taxes and other expenses you want, like CGST 9% and SGST 9%. So if I press Alt P to see a print preview of this voucher and hit yes with preview, you can set with preview and then press yes for printing, and before printing it will start showing you a preview of the invoice. So that is how it is going to look. However, we don't usually take printout of purchase invoices from Tally ERP 9. That is just for record purpose. So that is how your purchase invoice is going to look if you are going to take a printout. I'm going to press the escape key to cancel and Control A key to save all the changes. So as we have entered the purchase voucher, and if you go back to Gateway of Tally and go to stock summary, then you can see the closing stock of your company. So you have 1 motherboard, 10 keyboard and mouses, and 2 processors. So now I am going to add the sale voucher, F8, and here I am going to sell to KK and Company, sales account, mouse and keyboard 1 piece amounting to rupees 800 with 50 rupees profit on per piece. Then we have the motherboard, we sold out 1 piece to 3750 rupees. And then we have processor, I sold it for 7000 rupees. And then I am going to add the taxes, CGST and SGST. Going to save this, and now let's see the stock summary. So you no longer have any motherboard now because you have 1 and you sold it out. And then you have mouse and keyboard 9 pieces and processor 1 piece. And if you hit enter on that particular item, then you will start seeing a further summary of this item. Like you in April you got 10 pieces inward and 1 piece outward and closing balance of 9 pieces and average amounting to rupees 6750 rupees. So that was an introduction to inventory and sales and purchase voucher entries. In my previous tutorial, I have shown you about contra, payment sheet and journal vouchers. I hope you will like this tutorial. Let me know by leaving your valuable comments in the section below. And don't forget to hit the like button and do share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.